All right, so we'll just go ahead and get started. Ginger from Flower Power, thanks for joining the BWC podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We were just talking about Randolph, our office dog, and you have 3 daughters?
I do.
Okay.
19, 16, and 14.
Okay, those are fun ages.
Yeah.
But now to get into Flower Power, just so people can understand about what we're talking about, what we're getting into, and what your business is about, I'd like to give people an opportunity just to give a short outline of what they're doing.
Yeah, so Flower Power Fort Mill is a cooking studio for kids and adults. We do birthday parties, cooking classes. We have memberships that we sell for, cooking classes every week if it's something that people like to do a little more regularly. Mm-hmm. We do kids' night out, family classes. We like to say we're a place not just to make a meal, but a place for joyful experiences because all the fun happens in the kitchen. People always end up in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah. It's funny you say that. We always talk about that when you have a party, or even when you just have a group of friends over. It always ends up where even if you're not cooking, if you're done cooking, like something about the kitchen where you're standing around and there's food around and it just brings people together. Right?
The whole house and everybody ends up in the kitchen.
Yeah, everybody. I know. It's crazy. We see that all the time too. Now, how did that concept? Is that kind of how your concept and how you wanted to? You were like, hey, this is a great idea. I love this. Cooking is a passion of yours, I assume.
Yeah.
And how did all that come to fruition?
It's kind of funny. I'm actually a physical therapist by background.
Okay.
And so I loved doing birthday parties for my girls, but after I had the 3rd child, I was worn out. So we did a birthday party at Flower Power. It's actually a franchise. So I bought Flower Power Charlotte from the founder.
Nice.
And then moved to Fort Mill. But I love cooking. I love being around food. I love cooking for people. It's kind of my love language. Yeah. And I was worn out with doing birthday parties for my girls, so I figured other people were probably worn out with doing birthday parties at their house for their own kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I grew up cooking with my grandma, with my aunts, with my mom, and so it's just a place I like to be. And not everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
I had a lady who come in yesterday and just ask if I could teach her and her daughter how to cook because she has no idea how to cook. Okay. And people don't know where their food comes from.
Right.
And so it's important for me to know that I'm helping other people learn I grew up kind of on a farm.
Yeah.
So I knew where everything came from beginning to end. My best friend in college didn't know that a pickle came from a cucumber.
Oh, yeah.
And she was the valedictorian of our class. So it's amazing to me sometimes that people just don't know where their food comes from. So it's important to me not just to teach the kids how to cook, provide a birthday party experience that also teaches them something that's easy for the parents, but also that they're learning, not just about the meal, but learning about the food from start to finish.
Yeah, I think that's getting super important now because as much as processing is happening with food and, you kind of get so disconnected from your food, like you're saying. It reminds me, I was listening to some other podcast and they were talking about hunting and they were having dinner with a couple and they were asking where one of the husbands was and they were saying, oh, he's elk hunting. And the other guy sitting there goes, oh, disgusting. Like, I can't believe somebody would do that while he's eating a steak. Right. And they're like, wait a minute, how is this? So I think there's just, and just shows the disconnection of where's our food coming from, to appreciate freshness and appreciate, not having so much junk in our food, to be honest with you. So that's great that you're out there promoting that and teaching that. Now, when you come into Flower Power, this would be my question. Like you said, it was just a mother and daughter. So you can do smaller groups, larger groups.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we do. We have private events, so you can schedule an event for as few as one person if you wanted to do that. Yeah. But most of our classes are 5 to 10 kids. Our preschool class is much smaller. I max those out at 5 because they're preschool.
Yeah. What goes on at the preschool classes? What are we doing? Just getting them to mix or?
So our classes are kind of theme based. So this month is science. So we were making sparkling lemonade, talking about effervescence, and then doing baking soda volcanoes, so that we can talk about how baking soda and buttermilk react in pancakes, and then make pancakes.
Oh, cool!
So they'll do anything from chocolate covered pretzels to stuffed peppers. Okay. It's just a matter of the components that we have them actually participate in.
Nice. Yeah. Being at the age group we deal with a lot, starting at 7 or 8 and all the way through teenagers, pickiness sometimes can be an issue with, I don't know if your daughters went through that. Probably not, because you probably exposed them to a lot of stuff. But do you find that the younger generation, they just stick to, because it's so easy to get, frozen pizzas and this and that, like, they're going to naturally try to go towards the, I wouldn't say unhealthiness, but the convenience part of it? Is that?
It's kind of two extremes, because there's so many people who are, getting their own eggs from their own chickens now.
Yeah.
So many people who are doing little things. So there are lots of kids who eat lots of chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, and that's all they'll eat.
Yeah.
And I'm finding texture is a big thing for kids too, like even more than when my kids were little. There's a lot with texture, but we do get a lot of picky eaters. But I do find that when they have a hand in what they're doing, and we talk about how foods change when you mix them with other ingredients, they'll find something that they like. We might present 5 things to them and only one that they'll try.
Okay.
But I do think there's a little bit more of the pickiness, because even some of the parents don't really cook a lot right now. So they don't always know where the food is coming from or how to mix things together. But my kids weren't that picky. I have one child who will not eat seafood, and it drives me crazy because it's my favorite.
Because you're like, you're missing out. I promise you'll love it.
Seafood and marshmallows. I think it's a texture thing for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we've even had kids who come in who have had issues with textures or issues with allergies, and because they didn't find out what the allergy was early enough, the child is really afraid of food. So they come to the class just to get used to touching food, being around food.
Yeah.
So that, for me, that's a very reward, to see a dad cry because his son can pick up a banana, even if he won't bite it yet, but pick it up and touch it at 3 years old is exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, getting in. And I love how y'all, the process of getting in there earlier. And like you're saying, some people have never been in the kitchen because their parents don't cook, and they just wouldn't even feel comfortable getting a pan out or knowing what ingredients go together. Like, it would just blow their mind. So it kind of sets them up.
You don't yuck someone else's yum. So even if they don't like it, they just have to do the no thank you bite.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And that gets people to, you go back to your daughter not liking seafood. I remember watching my dad growing up, and oysters, raw oysters, texture, huge problem for kids a lot of the time. But he would doctor it up so well. He'd put, all the trimmings on it, whatever. And I'd be like, God, that looks so good. And I'd always want to try it, but I was like, no. Finally tried it like as a teenager and was like, oh yeah, they are pretty good. So maybe that's an age thing. I don't know, but the texture thing for me was huge with the oysters. Just looking at them,
My husband would not eat mushrooms. We met when he was 30, and he would not eat mushrooms because his parents would not eat mushrooms.
Oh,
he had no idea that he loved them.
Yeah, that goes. My dad made a joke when I was a kid. He said, I think it's from a movie or something, but my mom was making meatloaf, and I was maybe 6 or 7, and he goes, I don't eat meatloaf in the worst of times or something like that, quoting a movie. And I picked up on that, and ever since then it was, Mom was having meatloaf. She had to stop making it because the kids were like, meatloaf, disgusting. Now I'm like, oh yeah, it's delicious. But it's funny how you pick up those things. So I love how you're getting kids involved early to see stuff, kind of not re-educate, but educate into, hey, this is where our food's coming from, and all that good stuff. Have you talked about, the in-school stuff, the younger kids and things like that? Do they ever have any school programs that come and join with y'all or anything like that?
Yes, we have field trips.
Okay, cool.
We have lots of schools and preschools that will come for field trips. We also do after-school programs. So we go to Fort Mill Elementary School and do an after-school program there. I do an after-school program for the preschoolers at Lake Norman Baptist Church. So we have a few different little programs that we do throughout the year where we come to the school.
That's fantastic.
You're a little more limited when you do that because you don't always have access to an oven. But we have electric skillets, induction burners, things like that.
Yeah. And you might find that one kid that never would have been exposed and gets a little exposure to cooking, and they might be the next Michelin star chef,
Yeah. We talk about that. I say chefs may not like everything.
Right.
They're, as soon as I pull out the onion, most of the kids are like, I don't want to put the onion in.
Yeah.
You're a chef right now. Right now it's a cooking class. It's not a buffet. So we're thinking about how to put food together. And I always say, make the recipe as the recipe's meant to be made first. At the end, we talk about how they could change it and so they have to taste it in order to tell me how they can change it, right?
Oh, that's cool.
So how would you change this recipe to make it something that you would like? And so I tell them that's how you learn how to cook without a book. You start thinking about how you would change something that you may or may not like, but then they're willing to try it the second time their way.
Their way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great way to get, like we were talking about the pickiness, trying to get kids to try something is sometimes the big feat in itself there. Well, that's awesome. We talk a lot about diet, even being in the orthodontic world or the pediatric dentist world, about how much sugar is being, intaken now, how much sugar level has rise and how much kids are eating sugars. And, we see cavities rising in children. We see the white spots on braces. And so just getting across that education of food as well, trying to get that, hey, you need to have some whole foods. You can have some sugar. You can have some candy even with braces. Be careful with it, but make sure you're getting that off your teeth. So I think that can relate a lot to all of a sudden we see, again, like you were talking about with the cooking, if the parents don't take care of their teeth, maybe the kid hasn't even had an opportunity to do that. Right. So I love how y'all do that and give kids opportunity to see that. But also parents, that mom coming in and saying, hey, I just don't know how to cook these basic dinners, that wants to have maybe family dinners, but just doesn't have the confidence to do so. So I think that could be pretty valuable.
Well, I have to say about the sugar, we soak an egg in soda over the summer. This is one of our science experiments. And we do toothpaste to kind of show how, you're trying to brush the stains off the egg and how the egg eventually dissolves, to talk to them about how all the sugar damages their teeth.
There you go. So you're helping us out too. We need all the help we can get.
Every summer. We do it every week.
Yeah. We're constantly showing them. You have to show some pictures of, disgusting teeth. We have this book that shows it. So, reinforcement is great. So we as dentists appreciate that and try to do our best to promote good food. Yeah. We always say, with the health part of it too, the teeth are connected to all your body. So the food that you put in your body, we always like to say, hey, it's almost like the drug that you're taking in, because your body's going to react to it a certain way. And so that's super cool that you're showing not only how to cook, but where the food comes from and kind of the story behind it.
And so I'll usually say, does this come from plant or animal? And, sometimes when you start talking about ingredients, they're like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
So it does. I do think that as you think about your ingredients and putting them all together, if you get the kids thinking about where it even comes from, if they know that it comes from above the ground or below the ground or from an animal, they know it's more natural.
Yeah. And I think, too, with the kids, I think if they got excited about it and took that home, it might encourage the parents to say, okay, yeah, we can do a night. What do you want to cook? And they can kind of show them. And I think that
so many times the kids will have an assignment, like especially after summer camp, the parents will say, okay, you're making dinner on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
I actually had one of our regular campers who threw a dinner party for 10 of his friends. Well, it was 10 friends and family members. And he used all of the recipes he learned at summer camp. And it was awesome.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And then he gets encouraged on it, and it's something that he can do. And that's a lifetime skill. If you're coming in, like you were saying, some people just say they can't cook or they hate to cook because they simply have not been exposed to it. So I think that's a very valuable thing. Now, I know you have some stuff going on at Flower Power, how people can come in, maybe give a discount or to try it out the first time, I get hooked on it. So what's going on with that?
Yeah. So I have a promo code for your listeners, SMILES10, SMILES 10, SMILES10 for 10% off anything. Birthday parties, kids' night out. It expires November 30th. Our summer camps go on sale December 1st, so we'll have a special for summer camp during that time. But SMILES10, come try us out.
SMILES10, we'll put it all in the show notes and everything. But if you're watching this, listen to this, SMILE10, Flower Power. Seems like it's great for not only personal education, but if you want to do birthdays, events, get people together. Sounds like it could be something fun to do with a group of friends too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done date nights, corporate team building, Girl Scout troops.
And it sounds like y'all are real flexible on how you do things. So if you were like, hey, we're doing some adults and we want to have this kind of theme, okay, perfect, we can do that, versus all the way down to 5-year-olds, preschoolers that, hey, let's learn the basics, let's have some fun. let's show them how to do.
What I love for adults is an Iron Chef or a Chopped challenge.
Oh, cool.
So we'll give you 5 ingredients. We have 2 kitchens, divide up into 2 kitchens, and then just see what you come up with.
Oh,
with
that's
the
real fun.
ingredients. Yeah.
That's real fun.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You can bring beer, wine. Adults can bring beer, wine.
Beer, wine.
We
There you
don't.
go.
We don't have a liquor license. We can't serve it or provide it, but you certainly can bring it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, has anyone come up with something where you're like, oh, actually, that was a pretty good idea? And, you know,
All the time.
All the time.
We just had a group in a few weeks ago, and they made this tomato bruschetta that was absolutely delicious. We've done salmon before, and some people have come up with some pretty creative, like salmon mousse kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say you have to be able to eat it at the end, though.
Yeah. They're trying to get pretty wild with it, but that's cool. That just goes to show you that you can always be seeing something new, learning something.
Yeah.
Now to wrap up, is there any one dish, like say you're having a dinner party or you have something where you need something to really hit? Is there a go-to for your own personal?
My favorite recipe that we make is a very easy molten lava cake. It's like the easiest recipe ever, but it's so good.
Oh,
Dark chocolate, it's gooey inside, with homemade ice cream, powdered sugar, and some raspberries.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to win everybody over.
It's not too sugary either. It only has a half cup of powdered sugar in it.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a dentist, I can appreciate that. We can have a good tasting thing. I know the fresh ice cream must be great. I mean, that's awesome. Back to just the regular ingredients instead of throwing all the junk into it. Well, I know I've taken up a lot of your time. You're a busy person.
Oh, thank you.
So get back to Flower Power, and remember Smile 10 for our guest. Give that promo code, try it out, test it out, and I think you're doing great things. So keep up the awesome work, and thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Smiles Ahead podcast, powered by Burrow, Welchel, and Culp Orthodontics. Be sure to leave a rating, hit that subscribe button, and if you have more questions, you can reach out to me directly at sam@bwcortho.com. That's sam@bwcortho.com. You can also visit our website, bwcortho.com, and we will be happy to answer any questions you might have.